earlier about domain names, and you have to ask the question, do you care if a website is a .io, a .pro, a .com, or any of that sort of stuff? Is there any rationale to have a .com versus something else other than it's just been the way that it is? Food for thought. Anyway, welcome to another edition of XFeed. What's up? My name is DeShiller. We're going to be going through an amazing video that highlights some of the celebrity NFTs, shares some of my perspectives on the times that it happened, some further stories of stuff that you might not have known if you weren't living in the moment. We got Wilder World that's teasing something on July 7th. We got the Arbitrum co-founder talking about some significant money that's coming on through with Robinhood and trying to connect it to other pieces of the puzzle that we'll see out here within Web3, and also reports that young Americans are apparently spending less on video games, which I don't feel like that's accurate, but we'll go over the article and see what it do. We are live over on Abstract if you're wanting to follow that. You just check out Abstract and it should be like one of the 20 streamers that's there. Hell yeah. Okay, so here's the video. Remember when every celebrity dropped an NFT? This is coming from Maddie B. Paris sold a fairy tale. Snoop dropped avatars in his pajamas. Logan sold a fake zoo. Shaq gives back. Floyd never lost. And Dwight didn't even do the reveals. Let's see what we got.
Remember when every celebrity had their own NFT drop? Well, let's look back to some of the more wild ones. Paris Hilton launched My Forever Fairy Tale. Not mine, actually. But it was romance-themed, with over 25,000 NFTs sold at around $11 each.
Hey everyone, this is my Polygon piece. Such a beautiful piece.
Okay, so essentially the concept with it was that she made this collage of images and then got a digital variation of it and then sold it to pay for her wedding. And as Matt said, it was like $11. It was on Polygon. It was like 20,000 of them that ended up selling. Now, you have to remember, and one of the reasons why I keep bringing up, okay, like it's interesting when you see people of notoriety, celebrities that come into the space, but is there like a reason that they're doing it? Because if you recall, back when the Jimmy Fallon and Paris Hilton Tonight Show ape feature, if you ever type that in anywhere, you'll see out there talking about Bored Apes when they're like at all-time highs and everything else like that. Is it because they're actually a fan of the industry, or are they wanting to sell something within it?
It means so much to me, so I decided to put it on the blockchain.
Snoop Dogg dropped 10,000 sandbox avatars called Doggies. Each went for 150 sand, about $450 at launch.
Just me with my pajamas on.
Since then, Snoop has made appearances at VCon and ApeFest.
So the ApeFest thing is the most ridiculous thing of this. I'm going on a little bit of a side rant for a second here, but I went to the second ApeFest. I think this was the second ApeFest, and what they did is they had 4 days, and the venue they picked wasn't enough to house the amount of people because the demand for these events were huge. A lot of people traveled around the globe to go and attend. So you had to kind of put your name in a hat and get lucky if you got tickets to that day. Some got them for 1 day, some got them for 2, some for 3, and hell, some lucky people ended up getting all 4 days. On the first day, which I was able to go to, all of these are like free drinks, free access. Well, if you own one of the NFTs, obviously. And it had Amy Schumer doing an opening that was like super cringe, and then they did an act like the reveal for the gold mutant ape, like the one of one. You know how there was a whole bunch of different one of ones for that. It was that, and then they had Questlove and another band that I forget who it was, I believe, and each day was various acts. But then on the final day, they had like Eminem, Snoop Dogg. They had all these crazy artists. And it was like, all right, well, day 4 was the one that everybody should have tried to go for.
I'm not sure what he's done lately, but there was a time where he had his paws into everything.
But yeah, back to Snoop Dogg. Like truly, he had so many different NFTs, so many different things. And I don't think he even talks about Sandbox anymore.
Former NBA star Dwight Howard.
Oh, this one's bad.
Ballers on Avalanche.
Okay. This is hilarious because it's like, why are they even doing this? Like, it's not like this guy's lacking money of any sort. I don't know. People are saying, hey, this is a get rich quick stream. None of those really make sense. Scheme is what I was going for. Thank you, self. I don't even think these ever even revealed. And they picked Avalanche. And if you go and you look, you'll actually find that the Avalanche founder was saying, oh, Dwight picked this on his own. And like, we're so glad. We had no idea they were even doing this, but that shows the power of the chain. Obviously, that looks horrendous now, but.
He sold for 2 AVAX each, about $65. Here's a clip of him promoting it before exactly nothing happened with the collection.
Avalanche brothers and sisters, this is Dwight Howard, and I am super excited to be creating on this chain.
I'm so excited to be on this chain. Said nobody literally ever.
Logan Paul's Crypto Zoo minted 10,000 NFTs at 0.1 ETH, almost $400 each. It's now a cautionary tale in Web3 history. It's also maybe how he was able to afford that $5 million Pikachu Illustrator card that he wore around his neck. Shaq Gives Back sold for 0.05 ETH, almost $200.
I don't remember anything about that. Like, the other ones, I remember the times that they launched and everything else under. I don't recall at all when Shaq did this. I know that it happened, but I don't remember any of it.
All the proceeds from the mint and royalties went to the Shaq Foundation. I have no idea what they do there, but I imagine it's to help others. Shaq's a good guy. Floyd launched Floyd's World.
Holy shiitake mushrooms. Okay, so Floyd Mayweather. This goes down like a ridiculous rabbit hole because, again, this guy's supposed to be, you know, the multimillionaire, whatever. Decides to launch like 3 or 4 different NFT collections, and I think this was the first. And the artist of this was with Bulls on the Blockchain, which was one of like the OG collections that existed out there. And so, on a complete side tangent that's not really related, but the artist for Bulls on the Blockchain, I forget what the guy's name is, Rui Duarte. Never mind, I remember. There was this huge scandal of, oh, Rui Duarte's 2 people. There's one that's like the manager and then the artist himself. The artist came out and did this whole live stream. Man, I wish that I recorded it and tried to like document history because that'd have been absolutely perfect. But there was all this random stuff. And so they have this space when Twitter Spaces were really, really a hot thing within Web3, and they're saying Floyd Mayweather is coming on the space. And for whatever reason, they invite me up on the stage. I'm hanging out there. We have people that are defending Floyd in a very obscure way. So we're all just hanging out. And there's this individual that keeps going on about, man, most celebrity have rugs. Floyd's coming through on this, and he's gonna show you, and all this kind of jazz. So Rui's there, just panic, trying to kill time. Their agency's like, oh, we're trying to get a hold of Floyd, and then they find out, oh, he's on like a private jet, and he's not gonna come on the Spaces. So everybody got baited on it. And then all the NFTs, nothing happened with them. They decided to launch another collection, and I think there was like a third one or something else for that. It was literally the worst thing possible.
At 0.15 ETH, but in the ring of NFTs, it didn't go the distance.
Mr. I don't lose at nothing is back. And if you in the NFT world and you betting on me, you will never lose.
It's like the worst possible thing that he said. But here's Zach XBT saying, remember your last NFT project? It was 11,000 NFTs at 0.15 ETH. I'm guessing 5 mil or 1,600 ETH wasn't enough. Or maybe your ongoing lawsuit for promoting crypto scams. And it's just like, yo, Nana, what's going on? How are you, you beauty? It's brutal.
So what celebrity NFTs do you remember?
I'm trying to think if there's any other ones that I remember. Like the Floyd one stands out because I remember being on that space and everybody thinking, yeah, this guy's going to come through. And then that was the sign that just don't trust absolutely anything. I mean, recent times there was like that Hawk Tua girl, but she did a token. Nobody's really doing NFTs anymore. Dwight Howard was maybe the most recent. But yeah, it doesn't seem to happen. But unbelievable. So going back to that time, OSF made a post saying Doodles raised $54 million at a $704 million valuation. And remember, all of these collections literally just launched digital images. there was almost nothing that had actually happened with any of these, except for people speculating on secondary markets, saying, hey, if you do a merch drop, if you do this, we're buying it. Yuga Labs, the creators of Bored Ape Yacht Club, raised $450 million at a $4 billion valuation. And Proof, which Kevin Rose gets absolutely lambasted for, just because obviously things raised $50 million, but not sure on valuation. And obviously there wasn't really a whole lot that went into it. But then you go down the list of, okay, Yuga acquired it, but then OCAP Games that's doing the Vibes TCGs acquired it. And then it's like, all right, well, where's the $50 million that was originally put into this? Because Proof canceled all of their live events they were doing. They did some artist drops, which those were probably fairly expensive. But beyond that, just no shade on any of these, but just putting into perspective how big and crazy numbers can get very, very quickly. True. GameSpot. Young Americans are spending a whole lot less on video games this year. Do you feel like you're not spending as much on video games if you're a gamer, right? Got to be very specific. If you don't game, obviously you're not going to. But new data suggests that 18 to 24-year-olds are cutting back on many different categories, with losses most concentrated in games. So they have a list here, and this is average weekly spending for select industries changed from a year earlier. Oh, wow, that's actually kind of crazy. So yeah, video games is way less. I'd sort of make the argument that we have people that are more, okay, when the Steam summer sale comes on, I want to buy during that, or I'm going to play, 1 to 2 games a year. I used to be somebody that bought every sports game. If there was like a really popular title, I'd be like, hell yeah, let me try it. Now I play like 2 games and that's basically it, right? You know what I mean? So I think people being very loyal or addicted in some cases to specific games is more the rationale for that, but maybe I'm wrong. And then accessories, small appliances, housewares, technology, total general merchandise, furniture, sports equipment, apparel, and prestige beauty is down 10%. Interesting. The more you know. Gotta love statistics. Gotta love it. Spike saying tempted to drop an expose on all the crypto agencies that ran Web3 gaming into the ground the last year. Many are still around, extracting from passionate devs and fading the creators, actually converting and growing Web3. This is a problem, I feel like, for everything crypto related. Is like, all right, are numbers fudged? Are people, being truthful in certain aspects? What shadiness is going on? But arguably that's any industry, right? But people also have way more money, it seems like, in Web3 to spend, and sometimes it's not used in the best manner. This I thought was fake, to be totally transparent with you when I first read it. Will Smith, Jada Pinkett Smith's Westbrook, partners with newly formed studio Azuki for global anime push. So Will Smith and other celebrities are jumping in with Azuki, similar to how we saw Pharrell Williams with Doodles. Steve G. Azuki just made arguably its biggest move yet. They've launched Azuki Studio, a US-based anime studio built to develop, produce, and globally distribute original anime. Backed by Real Anime Studios, Hollywood partners, and Web3 native DNA, here is the breakdown. I don't want to go through all of it, but holy. I didn't know anything was happening on that front. That seems massive. Wilder World teasing something coming on July 7th. Keep talking about portals and how they're talking about how they're going to be the majority, 90% of the revenue of Solana NFTs. Wilder World's launching stuff. You got all these metaverse platforms getting ready to launch. Did you know it's been 4 years since Cool Cats launched? I believe they minted at 0.06. They then cut the mint in half because at that time, if you didn't mint out, it was considered a failure by many eyes. So they went down to, I think, 0.03, and then it sold out fairly instantly. And then the chaos ensued, and they started flying. And then they did the Milk Token. Milk Token didn't end up being all that great, but Cool Cats are still around. And speaking of other things that are still around, you remember Doritos, the drink, right? Like, you go to a restaurant, typically a Mexican one, and they have these Dorito drinks. They actually did NFTs at a point. You can see right here some of the different characters within that. And I just wanted to remind you, this was like one of the first companies that had something there was like a real full-blown business that decided to jump into the space. So cool to see that they're still kicking around. Maybe something to get into if you are a fan of the drink. J-Bone, I'm convinced that NFTs will be the home of the next multi-billion-dollar IPs. For Bored Ape Yacht Club, they got Other Side and Ape Chain, so their own chain, and then a metaverse experience. Pudgy Penguins, they have toys, media. They've got the Lil Pudgy YouTube channel, and just again, dominating in the GIF realm. And then Abstract, another chain, so notice chain and chain. Azuki, anime chain. 3 chains back to back. And then Azuki Studio for entertainment. And then Doodles have Golden Wolf, which is an award-winning animation studio as well. So entertainment is trying to come through, and these players are looking to make it big. Okay, Thread Guy was talking with the co-founder of Arbitrum, talking about the Robinhood partnership. So this is pretty big news, the announcement of Robinhood doing stuff on Arbitrum, but I'm going to try to make a package perspective here. So let's see what they have to say.
The Arbitrum DAO collects all transaction fees on Arbitrum 1 and collects 10% of revenue from anyone using the Arbitrum Orbit stack. The Arbitrum ecosystem has full alignment from all the products it offers, which I think is really important, because naturally, the ecosystem, you want the ecosystem to continue to be able to sustain and fund and grow new projects as well. The Arbitrum DAO.
Okay. So on here, Arbitrum collects 10% of revenue from anyone, in quotes, Robinhood, using the Arbitrum Orbit stack. So what does it look like in a world where there is mega companies that are successful that want to attach themselves to Web3 rails because they know that the younger person is going to do that? And again, I want to highlight the fact that this is sort of a topic that we talked about on this past week's RWA Segments podcast with Miguel Kudry from L1, who is essentially building up a system where they have DeFi protocols that they think are safe, and a way that they can help financial advisors come on chain to suggest things to other individuals of how to do, because they need to meet the investor where they are, which is on crypto rails. It's a big conversation. Check out the link down below to go check that out, or if you follow me on X, you'll see that in the bio, RWA Segments. Okay? So these people are going to be fighting over what chain they want to go on, and this is like, as I'm thinking about this thought, it's kind of a two-way street, right? It's like you have something successful, what chain you want to go on to. If you're a chain, how do you get people that have that massive amount of following, the funds that could go through it? And so Robinhood lands Arbitrum. And Arbitrum lands Robinhood. It's probably the way that we should look at this, right? And they're going to get 10% of it. So FC Barcelona, they made a post the other day saying that they had their product, right, merchandise, jersey sales, whatever, have a record high this past year. A record for amount of stuff they're going to sell. Okay, so where does FC Barcelona want to do their stuff? And this is where it's interesting, because they're now having the pass with Featureverse. We're still waiting to see what exactly this looks like. Right now, it's just signups, but it's the same kind of concept that, hey, you know what? What if 10% of every digital sale related to Barcelona goes to the network that this is on, which is the Root network, right? As an example. And we can go down the list and pair this with almost everything that's coming out and see and be like, all right, based off of this is what we can project. I think things are going to get spicy. I love to see it. Public companies bought more Bitcoin than ETFs for the past 3 quarters. I mean, we talked about the other day where G2 went out and they bought a bunch of Solana to flip it. They were making a ton of profit in a year that esports teams really struggled. Public companies buy more Bitcoin than ETFs for 3rd consecutive quarter. Corporate treasuries are turning to Bitcoin for strategic growth that outpaces traditional investment vehicles. It's just like, damn. Things are happening, and it's crazy to watch. We've been covering it all. If you've enjoyed this and you're wanting to go back, don't forget, we've been doing this for well over a year. If you check out the live tab on YouTube, you can see all that kind of jazz. But that's going to be it for this edition of XFeed. Nana, thank you so much for coming on through. Hope you're doing wonderful as per usual. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have yourself a good one. Peace.